Hello again, friends. It's me, Miss Christina. It's getting a little dark when I'm making this video, but I couldn't wait to get to the end of our story. So let's jump back in to chapter 11 and 12. We are reading Detective Gordon's The First Case, and Detective Gordon and Buffy are trying to solve the case of the missing nuts, and they have the thieves who have sort of trapped themselves up in their hole. So let's see what happens next. Chapter 11 is called 224 Nuts. And this video should be on the shorter side because these two chapters are not very long. It was chaos. Many of the forest animals had been woken and come to watch. Nuts were flying from the hole, and the hole looked exactly like a prison. The animals stood in a ring around the oak tree, and the white snow was peppered with hazelnuts. "Stop," called Detective Gordon. "You've thrown out exactly 224 nuts. That's the exact number you've stolen." The two squirrels grumbled between themselves. They knew they'd been tricked. "How many nuts do you have left?" asked the detective. 12,417, shouted the squirrels, and they laughed. Ha 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 ha. "And then there's nothing more to be done with you," said the detective. "You can stay inside and eat nuts, and you can think about how it feels to be burgled." The squirrels weren't sure whether to laugh or complain. Imagine sitting in your nest eating nuts. What could be better? They didn't actually need to go out, but were they truly not allowed to go out? And did they really have to think the whole time about people who'd lost their nuts? They couldn't decide what to think, so they laughed impudently at the detective. Ha 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 ha! "So we can go back now and stamp our papers," said Buffy. All the animals helped gather the nuts and carry them to the police station. They made one pile of 20 nuts for the detective and Buffy to return by toboggan to the field mice, and another pile of 204 nuts belonging to Vladimir. "Thank you very much, all you animals," said the two police friends, and they saluted. It was lovely to come back to the police station. The detective put more wood on the fire, and the embers caught flame. Lovely and warm. Then he put on the kettle. "Which cakes now?" asked the detective. There, they're carrying nuts back. Thank you, helpers. "Evening and night cakes," said Buffy. They heard someone snoring. The squirrel Vladimir was still asleep in the prison. "Tell him it's time for tea and cakes," said the detective. After a while, the dozy squirrel came out. "Can I have my nuts? What happened to my nuts?" he asked, confused. Buffy pointed out the window. "I can't believe it! How happy I am!" said the squirrel, almost in tears. "At last my sorrow is over." The detective shook his head and poured tea into 3 cups. Then the squirrel's face changed. Suddenly he looked grim. "Those wretched thieves," he said. "Where are those thieving wretches?" "The thieves have been caught, have admitted their crime, have paid their debt," said the detective. "They're sitting to some degree in prison. One can say they are, yes. They're completely away." "Completely away?" "Drink some tea," said the detective, "and eat a little cake." The squirrel ate a whole cake and asked for another. The cakes tasted so good, and he loved blackcurrant jam, he said. It was almost as good as nuts. When he had finished eating, he looked a little happier. "I don't entirely understand," he said, blowing on his tea. "One doesn't need to understand," said the detective. "As long as one feels everything is all right." The squirrel drank his tea. "But I still want to see the thieves," he said. "I want to see what a thief looks like." The detective went and fetched a little mirror from the wall. The squirrel took it in confusion. He had never seen a mirror before. He didn't like modern gadgets. He looked at the face in the mirror. He had never seen himself properly before. He glared at the image. Here we go. Sorry, friends. He's holding a mirror. I guess it's better back here, even though it's small. He looks angry and a bit stingy and greedy, said the squirrel. Yes, said the detective. He can look a bit like that, but I think he can also look happy and kind. The squirrel brightened a little. Perhaps, he said when he looked at the image, perhaps somewhat kind. The squirrel handed back the mirror. I don't understand modern contraptions. They make me dizzy, said the squirrel, going on his way. Good night. Good night, good night. The detective and Buffy remained behind the desk drinking their tea. They could hear the squirrel's voice out in the snow. 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109. And now we come to the last chapter, chapter 12. It's called 3 Wishes. Detective Gordon and Buffy felt very pleased with themselves as they sat side by side behind the desk. They were very happy, but they tried to look serious and important, like proper police officers. Suddenly the squirrel turned up again. He brought a very big nut that he wanted to give them as a present. The detective and Buffy nodded at him somewhat solemnly. Sitting there, they wanted to look serious and important. This is a particularly fine and unusual nut I'm giving you as a present, said the squirrel. A special gift, almost certainly a double nut, and I'm missing it already, but I wanted to thank you very much. He laid the hazelnut on the desk and bowed. He closed the door behind him. Buffy took the nut and gnawed a large, beautiful, even hole in its top. She stuck in her slender arm and pulled out 2 nuts. A double nut, she said happily. That means you can wish for 2 things. Buffy said she thought it best that the detective made the wishes. She wanted them to be for important things to do with police work, not just silly little things. Therefore, someone with long experience should do the wishing. Detective Gordon smiled solemnly, pressed his hands together, and cleared his throat. We 2 police wish for an end to crime. A good police district has no crime. But don't we want lots of terrible thieves to catch? Asked Buffy. Many difficult and exciting cases to solve? No, the best thing would be if nothing happened. Nothing at all. Buffy thought for a moment and nodded. The detective thought about the fire, his teacup, and the cake tins, and he sighed. We 2 police also wish not to apply punishments. The best case is when the thieves punish themselves a little bit. And it's best for prison to be comfortable, where someone without a home can live. A police assistant, perhaps. Buffy agreed with all this, and the more she thought about it, the happier she felt. The detective started to think about bed and was ready to nod off and fall asleep. You can wish for 1 more small thing, said Buffy. In that case, I wish only that we can sleep in tomorrow for a long time. The detective took out a piece of paper and wrote down the 2 real wishes. No crime, no punishment. There it is. And what did he do there? Let's both stamp it, said Buffy. Together they took out the stamp and placed it on the paper. Buffy moved it a little to the right. The detective moved it a little to the left. Then they both pressed as hard as they could. Cla-dunk! I shall keep this paper in the drawer for important notes. The 2 police friends shared a smile. Together they had solved the first case. And here we have what happened in a picture. Map of Detective Gordon's police district. Here's the police station. Here are the footprints where the crime happened. Here are the squirrel's holes, number 3 and 4. The fox lives that way in a different forest. Here's the scrubby bush with the slope where he fell. Here are 224 nuts where the real thief lived in a big oak. Here's the field where the hares live. They borrowed the nuts from over there in another forest. Squirrel's hole number 2, squirrel's hole number 1. Remember, he keeps his nuts in lots of different places. And here's Buffy's pile of nuts, the trick that helped them catch those 2 squirrels. Oh, squirrel's hole number 6. Now, wait a minute, was it squirrels or hares? Oops, I'm gonna go back and check. It was 2 squirrels. Those 2 hares are someone else, aren't they? It was indeed 2 squirrels. There they are. Those are the thieves who said, ha 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 ha. All right, friends. So maybe you can make a collection of something like nuts. Maybe you could collect special rocks that you love and that you can keep in a special place, or pine cones. If you make a collection of something like the first squirrel did and keep it in a special place, maybe you could take a picture or draw me a picture and send it to me. Thanks for joining me for this book club, and I'll see you next time. Bye.